You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. By going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible.
A Florida police officer was suspended after he arrested 2 young children in school last week, including a 6-year-old who was acting out because of an apparent medical condition. The girl's grandmother, Meralyn Kirkland, attributed her behavior problems to sleep apnea. The girl was taken to a juvenile detention center Thursday, where she was set to be processed at 6 years old, y'all. The arrest was stopped after a supervisor learned of it, and she was returned to school. Police Chief Orlando Roland said in a statement that the Reserve School Resource Officer, Dennis Turner, did not obtain the approval of a commanding officer before making the arrest on Thursday, as department policy requires. Turner has been suspended while the department conducts an internal investigation. Well, you know, the therapist just told us about this. I mean, traumatic.
Right. It seems like all the events really kind of like tie together.
Yes.
And so when we look at, again, we're talking about children.
Yes.
But we're talking about black children, one of which was misaged. He was aged at 8 years old. It was a 6-year-old young black boy that was, in fact, processed and had a mug shot.
In handcuffs.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Talk about traumatized.
Absolutely. So that was his interface with law enforcement, who we pay to protect and serve its citizenry, which, hello, everybody, black people are citizens. So,
and we pay taxes.
And we absolutely do pay taxes, and we overtip. To break up the monopoly a little bit. So, you know, Georgetown did this Girl Interrupted Erasure of Our Childhood study and found that black girls at the age of 5 are less nurtured than their white counterparts. And then when you start looking at them being in the school system, are twice as likely than their white counterparts to have multiple suspensions. So all of this ties back to the criminality of black bodies.
And mental health issues in the black community.
Absolutely.
Super quickly, Joanna.
The unfortunate reality is that this is what's happening in our schools, in inner cities throughout America. I mean, I'll share something very quick with you guys. When I was in law school, I worked as a teacher at a school in rural areas, in a rural area rather. One of the reasons I quit was because I saw kids getting put in handcuffs for merely raising their voice, for merely fighting. Kids fight. Because what I saw was when I was in the affluent neighborhoods, when the kids will fight, they'll call mommy and daddy to pick them up. But in the school setting which I was placed at, those kids were arrested and sent to juvie. So what happens to those children is they become desensitized to the notion of being arrested. You would see the kids, right? They would argue and make noise in the hallway, and then they'll walk towards the officer with their hands like this, arrest me.
Wow.
And that is very troubling to know that you have kids. First, before they even graduate from high school, they have a record. Right? And we know as a person of color, even when you're educated, it's extremely challenging to find employment, right? And to get paid the money that you deserve, the salary that you deserve. Now let's look at, you have a record when you go into college. How are you supposed to traverse and maneuver life with that kind of record? And second, those kids become desensitized to the notion of being arrested. And I know as someone from the Republic of Haiti, one of the most embarrassing things that could happen to you is being placed in handcuffs. So those kids, I saw that I was a part of the system where I was their teacher, the kids would get in trouble, and they'll get handcuffed and sent down to juvie. So I ultimately quit because I could not live with myself knowing that I was part of a system that was setting those kids up for failure. The kids did not understand what was happening. They didn't understand what would happen in the future. Because they could only think in the moment, obviously they're children. But for me, I understood what that meant for them to have a record before they even graduate from high school. So what is happening with this 8-year-old and 6-year-old is not an isolated incident. This is happening all across our country. Before our kids even graduate from high school, they have records, long records.
I would say that it's some of the similarities that exist in urban areas are the same in rural communities.
Absolutely, too.
A lot of the same things. So that was,
racism, unfortunately, is everywhere. All right, and this is an example of institutionalized racism, plain and simple.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, you've heard me talk a lot about marijuanastock.org because I want to keep you informed of investment opportunities that make sense. We've all watched the growth of the cannabis industry. A recent report by New Frontier Data estimates the global cannabis market at more than $340 billion billion. We know that marijuana legalization is sweeping the country state by state. We also know that marijuana has a good cousin, the hemp plant, with a much higher concentration of CBD. That means hemp gives you all the medical benefits of marijuana without getting you high. Until recently, hemp farming was practically illegal in the United States and heavily regulated by the DEA. However, that all changed with the 2018 Farm Bill, creating one of the largest commodities worldwide. They need land to grow all the plants, and that's where our friends at 420 Real Estate come in. Their business model is pretty simple. They buy land that supports hemp CBD grow operations and lease it to licensed high-paying tenants. That's right, they are hemp CBD landlords, and you can get in on the action. Now, 420 Real Estate is given something special for the Roland Martin Unfiltered family. Originally, the minimum investment was $500. You can now get in as little as $200. This is a crowdfunding campaign going from $200 up to $10,000. Again, this is a $340 billion global industry that is still growing. You can participate with as little as $200. To invest, go to marijuanastock.org. This is marijuanastock.org. Get in the game and get in the game now. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.